Well, hi, I'm Rick Reiff, and welcome to Inside OC. Are they speaking too much Spanish and painting too many Mexican murals in a South County school? Well, the immigration debate hits the classroom. And with public employee benefits draining the county, two local cities want to give even higher benefits. And sheriff volunteers have been told to turn in their badges, but some say they lost their badges. We'll discuss all of this and much more in a special edition of Consider This, and joining me to do so are Will Swaim, publisher of the District Weekly in Long Beach, Martha Daniel, Democrat, entrepreneur and minister, and Republican pollster Adam Probolsky. Welcome all.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Let's start, Will, with Rick Warren, who had that civil forum recently that really seemed to get the presidential debate going. What was your take on the civil forum?
I have always been I don't know if a fan is the right word, but I really like to watch Rick Warren. I think he's a really interesting guy from sort of a business perspective. But this was supposed to sort of be the coming out party for the new evangelical movement. I mean, kind of a newer, more new agey evangelical movement. And the questions all seem to be really aimed at the old evangelical movement. I mean, one of the questions was actually, is there such a thing as evil? And I wanted to hear somebody, I didn't care, McCain or Obama, to say, no, there's no evil in the world. No, there's no evil. I mean, really, it was almost the theological orientation of it, given what its premise was sort of surprising. And yeah, that's just, I guess, if you start from the premise that it wasn't supposed to be that theologically oriented. Does that make any sense? Maybe not. Adam's giving me a...
No, I don't think it makes sense at all. I don't think it was theologically oriented at all. It's a question. It's a valid question. People around the world see evil. Actually, our enemies see us as evil.
I actually found it refreshing that the new evangelicalism doesn't just mean global warming. You know, it means we can actually talk about good and evil.
But there were no questions really about that, or about HIV/AIDS, or about poverty in Africa, which are Rick Warren's sort of staples, right? I mean, these are the things for which he has become rightly famous, I think. And to ask the question, is there evil, and you answer, well, of course. I mean, so really, what was the purpose of that? I thought it was really to get at the possibility that Satan is wandering the earth in search of souls.
You actually got McCain's quick answer saying, yes, there's evil, and our job is to get rid of it. And Obama's answer was we say it all the time, but it was nuanced. He gave at that forum, he gave no answer that was direct and specific. He just either bumbled through things or glossed over things.
Let's get the minister in here. Martha Daniel.
I take that, we're focusing on just the question of evil, but I think that he spanned across other questions. He touched on questions that dealt with their character. I like the question when he asked McCain, what was your biggest failure or whatever, and he said, my first marriage. Well, he was rightfully supposed to say that because Rick Warren had said that it was going to be difficult for him to vote for a president who had been cheating and had infidelity in their past. So those types of questions, I think that Obama's question and answer to about when does life begin, he stumbled, he fumbled all over that one. The way that he answered that was not necessarily the way that I would, but I think that Rick Warren's position was to bring those sort of issues, which were the type of issues that Christians and people from an evangelical point of view were interested in. Were there good ones? Yes. Did they both succeed in them? Probably so, yes and no. But at the end of the day, they didn't get into what you say were the kinds of things that make a difference in our nation as far as the economics and the things that we deal with. So I don't think that he did that.
There were some complaints this crossed the line of church and state. Will, how do you feel about that? In other words,
no, it doesn't cross the line of church and state. I think, people who have a religious orientation are totally within their rights and within reason, I would argue, to wonder how that affects public policy. I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing. But
I watched it. I thought both candidates did well, but I do think that when it comes to the sound bites and the takeaway, it hurt Obama and it helped McCain.
Well,
do you agree with that, Adam?
I think it did, and it didn't have to be that way. Each of the campaigns had equal number of tickets to the event. They had their own crowds in the audience, so it didn't have to be that way. But Obama was clearly uncomfortable. And give him a little bit of leeway. He was in Orange County. He knew he was in a Republican territory, but he did have his crowd in the audience. It didn't have to be that way, but it did.
Martha, you're the Democrat. Do you think that Obama came out a little worse than McCain on it?
I think that the one question that hurt Obama simply was the fact that, on pro-life. I think that was the one that... But other than that, the other questions, went okay, and people clapped. And if you were measuring the hand claps between the Democrats Democrats when Obama was there and when McCain was there. I couldn't judge the difference between the two of the copy.
If Obama could have 4 words back, it's above my pay grade.
That's,
I think he wishes.
That's
okay,
it.
just very quickly, because I know you guys want to say a little something about this, the Democratic convention. Will, what do you think?
Well, we have, the 4 of us, I think, already talked this thing to death, so let me just reprise my sense. McCain's primary offensive on Obama has been Obama has no experience. And given McCain's age, 72, his vice presidential choice of a woman whose resume includes only PTA mayor of an 8,000-person city and less than 2 years as governor of a socialist state, Alaska, is a remarkably bizarre and incompetent choice, I would argue. There are many women out there, if he was trying to get the Hillary vote, many competent Republican women out there, including the former governor of New Jersey, Christine Todd Whitman.
You know, McCain this has turned into vice president and not the Democratic convention, but McCain chose someone who's going to connect with America's middle class, connect with the part of America that he necessarily isn't totally connecting with today. Someone who's got executive experience. And you call it a small city and a socialist state. It's a state that's a Republican state.
I think anybody's definition of small is 8,000 people in the city. I mean, there's no city in Orange County. My homeowners association is bigger.
That's not true.
And a state that has a population the size of San Antonio, Texas. So let's
the American people look for strong leadership, and she projected strong leadership to get elected to the governor's mansion, and she'll be a strong leader in the vice
Martha,
president.
you're not excited that there's a woman on the Republican ticket?
Well, I would never woman bash, because I'm just glad that the Republicans thought about putting a woman anywhere. So that's just great in itself. But he still didn't get it. Okay, when I think about what the purpose is, it was not that he would have picked her had it not been they were desperate. They were absolutely, positively desperate, and they needed to do something to bring about a change. And so, in their minds, they still didn't get it, because that same population of what they're trying to grab with a pro-life, Hillary's people were pro-choice. It makes no sense. It's crazy to me.
The reason wasn't to attract Hillary voters. The reason was to bring on someone who could be a complement to John McCain. But if you're
young does complement old.
And if you're within a point or two of each other, that's not desperation whatsoever.
Okay, I think this one's going down to the wire, and this makes it a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now let's get really serious, though. There's another battle brewing. This time in Anaheim. Make that Los Angeles. No Anaheim. While a jury already ruled that it's okay to call our hometown baseball team the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the city's now taking its fight to an appellate court where the case is about to be reheard. Reporter David Nazar got reaction from some fans.
L.A. Angels of Anaheim, is it an L.A. team or an Anaheim team?
I think it's an Anaheim team.
So while you're saying the team says L.A. Angels of Anaheim, it's really not L.A.?
No, it's really not. It's Anaheim.
Is there pride taken when you say Anaheim Angels?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, it's just our own little, it was like as far as the Ducks and the Angels, it was our own little piece of the sports world.
I think the local community idea is better.
So you don't like it saying L.A. Angels of Anaheim. You want to see it say Anaheim Angels.
Absolutely, because they already have the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I think it's greedy.
Do you think it should be L.A. Angels of Anaheim or Anaheim Angels?
Los Angeles Angels, like it used to be when I grew up.
What do you think of this? Is this all silliness? Is this madness? You're baseball fans.
It's silliness, but it's fun silliness.
So let's just be silly for a moment. Will, should the city be pressing this case and appealing?
No, it makes the city look very, very small. And the fact is, I'm almost embarrassed we have to keep talking about this. We've been talking about this for 4 years, did you say? I mean, it's
we like a little silliness on the show.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the city. Where's Kurt Pringle's sense? I mean, has he lost his mind on this? I really don't understand, because the team has gotten far more airplay than it might have otherwise. The owner, Artie Moreno, has done one great thing after another. The team is winning. It's got a higher profile. It'd be nice to have a team named after our hometown, but they're not calling it Irvine anytime soon.
I think the city of Anaheim has every right to defend their brand. The Anaheim brand is no different than Coca-Cola or Pepsi or any other big name. And this is what they're trying to accomplish here. There's a contract. It said you've got to have Anaheim in there. I think they chose a route, the Angels ownership chose a route that really somewhat circumvented that. And I think Anaheim has every right to defend it.
What do you think, Martha?
But Anaheim's name is there. It's just where
Los
you place
Angeles
it.
Angels
Right.
Anaheim.
Of Anaheim. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, at $3.5 million, going up to $7 million real soon, fighting over something that is going to be, and the heritage was that it was always LA Angels.
If the name is so important, Adam, they wouldn't have given the naming rights of the stadium away for like $1 and then had those sold again and again to other people. So the name Anaheim.
I think the name means more in Anaheim than most cities because it does need that kind of branding. But anyway, let's move on to something that maybe is equally silly. Sheriff Hutchins, our new sheriff, has asked all of the, they call them special, civic reserves or whatever, call them
Sounds
deputy
good.
cadets or something. But anyways, they're
Rescue
supposed to turn their badges back in because this all started when Mike Corona was giving out badges in return for campaign contributions. And so while these folks do perform duties, Sandra thinks they should have badges that look a little less like sheriff badges. Lo and behold, some of the badge holders say they lost their badges, don't know where they are. Some prominent people in town, too. Mike Schroeder lost 2 of them. Will, do you think these are lost badges?
I think that really this really suggests the intelligence of asking these people for their badges back, however phony they look. The fact that you can't find your badge, maybe it's with your gun also lost. This is sort of scary to me, don't you think? I mean, they can't find their badges. They failed the first test, I think. I can't imagine showing up at the sheriff's office saying, yeah, I've lost my pants, my gun, and my badge, right?
Now, Adam, you had one of those badges, didn't you?
I'm a volunteer with the
You're
department.
a volunteer.
But you're actually somewhat more serious, are you not?
Well,
I mean, you're actually trained, right?
It has nothing to do with that.
I was playing with guns.
You turned your badge in.
I did.
And now you got, what, a little plastic one or what?
I don't have anything. I've not done any volunteer work for some time, but not in the last month or so. But prior to that, I did on-site volunteer work, did public information work, worked all night at the Emergency Operations Center doing media
That's what I mean by
interviews.
serious. You were actually involved in some work that I would argue is really important. There are a lot of these guys who I think are much more sort of
I don't
celebrities.
think so. I don't want to minimize. I think the badge issue is kind of a silly one. The work that the professional service responders do is serious work. And just like in any organization, you've got a bad apple or you've got someone who's there for whatever.
These are crates and crates of bad apples.
Yeah, but at the end of the
that's
day,
not true. That's not true.
when you think about it, why did she do that? I mean, when you think about Corona passed out badges, okay? We're thinking about who passed out the badges. So her purpose was to say, I'm not sure if he gave them out or if we have them, let's take that away so that I can put something differently out here so that I won't be part of any type of corruption or maybe there was something wrong.
There was never a problem at all in the program. The reason she did it was because she wanted to do something different. She wants to appear different.
There were people flashing badges and saying, I'm with the police.
And there are regular police officers that do that too.
I understand they also should be punished, don't you think?
And you do, and they do.
Sandra has said she thinks these folks do very important work, but there were some badges that went out, we know about them, that maybe shouldn't have, so she just wanted them all in. And after all, if you're doing the work for the badge, you shouldn't do it. These people are doing important work, and they'll keep doing it without the badge.
Absolutely.
Like Adam. Up next, the OC Insider, and then more on Consider This. Now it's time for the OC Insider from the Orange County Business Journal. Swimmers Dara Torres, Jason Lezak, and Aaron Pearsall. Volleyballers Misty May Traynor and Rich Lamborn, and Kobe Bryant. What do they all have in common? Yes, they're Olympic gold medalists. And they all live, train, or hail from Orange County. In fact, Beijing was a gold, silver, and bronze mine for OCers who took home 27 individual medals. In fact, if Orange County was a country, it would have finished 14th in the medal standings and 10th in gold. Well, they're back. The Real Housewives of Orange County will return for their 4th season on the Bravo Network this fall. And their fashionable coattails grow. There's already a Real Housewives spinoff in Manhattan, and Atlanta and New Jersey are next. Well, the National Democratic Party is sending in troops to help Huntington Beach Mayor Debbie Cook's long-shot congressional race against 10-term incumbent Dana Rohrabacher. Her advisor is Bill Waycobb, who engineered Loretta Sanchez's 1996 upset of Bob Dornan. Can lightning strike twice for the Dems in Republican-dominated OC? Well, maybe not. But if nothing else, the Dems might force Republicans to spend precious dollars defending Rohrabacher's safe seat. Well, that's it for The Insider. The Consider This panel returns to take on Spanish in the schools and public employee pensions next.
On upcoming editions of Real Orange, we'll find out what the Orange County Performing Arts Center is doing to make up for millions of dollars lost in recent investments.
Orange County raises the curtain of a film festival for independent filmmakers and producers.
And the Village of Hope opens the doors to a community created to get the homeless off the streets and on track for a better life.
Join us for those stories and more weeknights at 6:30 and 11 on Real Orange.
And I'm back with Will Swaim, Martha Daniel, and Adam Probolsky. Well, folks, the immigration issue has hit a South County school. A San Juan Capistrano mom says the Capo Unified School District is running Marco Forster Middle School like a Mexican public school. Reporter David Nazar has this story.
My concern with Marco Forster is that the way in which they're dealing with the 50% of the students there, the Hispanics, is not encouraging them to assimilate.
By assimilate, Kim means students here are not learning English.
Therefore, we have a division. We have a division between Hispanic and non-Hispanic, and that division causes ripples through the community of all kinds of problems.
Kim says education for all students here is failing, and she calls Hispanic students culturally isolated.
It's my opinion that Marco Forster is enabling these people by having everybody speak Spanish for them, the principal speaking Spanish even when it's not necessary, people behind the desk speaking Spanish when it's not necessary.
The way the law reads is that any school that has more than 15% of its population who speaks another language must translate all of the information and flyers that go home to the families to that language. In our case, it's Spanish.
But Kim claims school officials are getting around Prop 227, the proposition that requires all public school instruction to be conducted in English.
We have to immediately immerse our students in the English language.
Is that being done here?
That is being done here.
District Superintendent Woodrow Carter says Marco Forster is following state and federal law and Prop 227, and Carter says the school has the data to prove it.
The test scores within this middle school continue to go up. We are ranked exceedingly high with our state standards and, for that matter, in similar school rankings within California.
Kim also points to this mural in the multipurpose room, displaying Mexican President Benito Juarez, the Mexican flag, and an Aztec calendar.
There's no American president on the wall. There is no American doctrine, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. This is where most of the meetings with the parents and children assemblies take place. This is wrong.
The comment that we're running this school like a Mexican public school is inaccurate. That is nowhere close to what we're doing within the school district.
Superintendent Carter says he's not exactly sure what to make of Kim's attacks.
I'm uncertain what her intent was, of course. Only she can address that. But certainly I think there are people that are reading this and saying there is an overtone of either bigotry or racism there. And I think it's unfair to our community.
It's frustrating because you can't say anything without being called a racist.
Principal Bertini says she takes particular issue with one of Kim's accusations.
Her comment leads one to believe that I walk around the campus speaking Spanish all day long. And I thought about that because I thought, well, what percentage of the day, what percentage of the words that I speak are in Spanish? On any given day, it's probably about 2%.
Well, Martha, almost two different views of reality here. What do you make of this?
The word assimilate is one that just really creates a mechanism of thought. I mean, the question was, as I listened to the mother, was that they were speaking in Spanish and that they weren't learning. If you think about assimilation, and if you think about the population of California, 70% of all Mexican people are U.S. citizens, okay? Second to that, we're doing, if you assimilate, and you're talking about a race of people, you're talking about second and the third generation of immigrants coming over. Their parents don't speak the language. Now, if you see a group of Hispanic kids walking down together, speaking their language, does that mean they're not assimilating? Do we have to give up cultural things to think that that is America's culture?
How about that mural? And I noticed that the principal, when she's being interviewed, there was a Mexican flag behind her, too. Is that overkill?
I don't know if that's overkill when you have 55% of the population in the school being Hispanic and so Latino. So it's not necessarily that you can't have others. Now, we saw one portion of the school. What's happening in the other parts of the school? So it would be the same if I walked into an African-American school that's predominantly African-American and they had Martin Luther King's picture sitting there, and then maybe in another room you had President Bush. So I can't say that that was a piece. I had a difficult time with the words assimilating. And assimilating, America's made of many diversities. And assimilation to me saying that if you have 10 Mexican kids or Hispanic or Latino kids talking together and sitting in one group, that they are not assimilating?
Adam, what do you think about
that's
that?
Having not been to the school, I don't know the specifics. I think in general you do a disservice to students by not focusing on English in school and in the classroom, by not teaching American culture and American history, and perhaps focusing too much on another culture, another history. But I don't know the details of this school.
What do you think, Will? Who's got the better argument here, the parent or the school?
I wonder if there's a third route. I mean, I would love to send my kids to a school where they were learning a second language and, you know, English and Spanish all day long. I mean, we're supposed to be this great competitive global power, and we're having an argument about which language is primary. I mean, of course, we live in America and we ought to teach and inculcate our ideals in our young students. But the fact is, I'd be really happy if my kid were learning Spanish all day long alongside English, not one at the expense of the other. And it seems to me we could play a much bigger game here with our educational system and not have it either this or that, but why not both?
And if that's a choice, I think that's a great idea. I think what the accusation is not a choice in this school.
But what the principal literally said, they are teaching English as a second language. The mother was concerned the fact that she felt that the teachers and the students, and I read the article, were speaking Spanish continuously throughout the day, and that the teachers were speaking that to the students.
We're almost out of time. We've got to get to these public employee pensions here. The county is putting a issue on the ballot to cut down on these public employee pensions, which are bankrupting cities or threatening to bankrupt cities and states. Now Santa Ana has approved the same kind of pension spike, and Fullerton's talking about doing it. Well, who's crazy here?
We are absolutely going to bankrupt the county, and I say this not with any great sort of accounting acumen on my own part, but running a small business and also watching John Morlock, whom I trust implicitly.
Right. But then knowing that, Santa Ana and Fullerton now are going ahead, like they're looking at everybody else go off the cliff. Now they're going to go off the cliff.
I think there's a real challenge here, and I think we might all be in agreement that when you've got public employee unions, which are very, very powerful, and they are being catered to by elected officials who need their money and need their support to win elections, you got a real conflict of interest.
I see both of you nodding. Martha, you're the Democrat here. You're nodding too?
I'm not into that because I believe in exactly what he's saying. He said some of the things that are being decisions with the pensions are not being looked at from a total perspective and not just individually.
Adam, why are they doing this? Why is Santa Ana and Fullerton doing this?
I don't know why they're doing it. The bottom line, the dynamic is we've got to change the entire way we look at pensions, and whether it's after a bankruptcy or after another big fall, we're going to change this to a defined contribution rather than a defined benefit program.
Folks, thank you very, very much for a great debate. You can watch this show and past shows by going to KOCE.org and clicking on Inside OC. My guests have been Will Swaim, Martha Daniel, and Adam Probolsky. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again Inside OC.
Inside OC is brought to you by the following.
Lennar.com. Today's new homes. Everything you want everything you need. That's the logic of Lennar. Lennar.com.
Support comes from City National Bank, providing complete financial solutions to entrepreneurs, their businesses, and their families on the way up in Orange County for more than 30 years. City National Bank believes in the power of the entrepreneur. On the web at cnb.com.
The City of Anaheim. Founded in 1857, Anaheim is Orange County's original city and California's 10th largest city. Information on living, working, or visiting Anaheim is available at www.anaheim.net.
The law firm Stradling, Yaka, Carlson & Routh, a full-service corporate law firm in Southern California, celebrating 30 years, serving businesses and the communities of Orange County with valuable legal advice.